Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Saturday morning, so you know it's time for another live edition of the Extra Point. We got your boy, Mr. P.L. Coulter, representing the DFW. And as you can see, flanked to my right hand woman, Miss Tasha T. Sizzle, representing a beautiful, sunny, beachy day down in the Dominican Republic. How goes it today, T. Sizzle?
I'm out here in beautiful Encuentro, the Playa Encuentro in Cabarete. Just sitting out here waiting for someone to arrive at the airport. So that is why I'm in location at the beach today.
Live on location. The scenery looks beautiful. Glad to have you on board today. Ladies and gentlemen, you want to stick around with this one. We have some explosive topics coming up later in the show. But Tasha, we had some breaking news yesterday. Before we get into any of that, can we please get a word from our sponsor?
We are sponsored by May Jane's Coffee. That's MAEJANES coffee.com. Guys, shouts out to my daughter. She is on her grind again today, not with the coffee business, but she is working the SEC basketball tournament that is in Nashville. She's working for ESPN. So, like I said, she got multiple bags. She's trying to keep them filled and stay out of my pockets. But
Right on. Shouts out to Sasha, Mr. Denise for that. And go Vandy. Let's get that SEC championship finals victory. They beat Kentucky last night. Big time win for the Doors. All right. So we had some breaking news yesterday I want to get your thoughts on because I hadn't talked to you about this off wax yet. The Chicago Bears have ended the speculation. They've officially traded their first round pick to the Carolina Panthers. Now, for all of those who hadn't seen this yet, let me give you a quick rundown on what the Bears received. They get Carolina's number 9 pick. They get a late second round pick, number 61. They get Carolina's 2024 first round pick and their 2025 second round pick, along with wide receiver DJ Moore. Tasha, do you think the Bears got enough to deal the number 1 overall pick?
well, the thing is, you can always find a good offensive lineman later on in the draft. Who was the first? I think like Orlando Pace was like the only offensive lineman that ever go like, wasn't he like number 1 or something when he got drafted?
Yes, he
But
was.
obviously, they're going to stick with Justin Fields at quarterback, which I think is a good idea. I think you need to give him maybe one more year
Right,
because you've had worse quarterbacks that you've given more time to.
right.
Uh, so yeah, I mean, I think it was a good idea. They're showing, hey, we're going to build through the draft instead of like trades.
Right, right. And the your team, the 49ers, have shown that that's proven to be really the blueprint. You build through the draft, keep your own players, resign your own players, and then fill in missing pieces here and there. You stay under the cap and hopefully have a successful team. So, hey, shouts out to the Bears. Like you said, they're going to roll the dice with Fields. Fields did come on and look a lot better in the second half of the season. Like you said, get an offensive lineman. DJ Moore is a decent, credible wide receiver, and we'll see what they do with the future picks. I think Carolina's number 1 pick next year may be huge because I don't see them going anywhere. Normally, when you get a quarterback at number 1, your team is pretty bad that season. So, shouts out to the Bears for that. Now, let's continue to talk
But I'm
quarterbacks
not
because
okay with that pick with that Carolina. I hope they don't
yeah, go ahead.
there that you could have definitely used.
Right. Now, let's talk Lamar Jackson real quick. We've been following this story for the last few weeks, and we've reached a point now to where the Ravens have decided to give Jackson the non-exclusive franchise tag, meaning that he's free to negotiate with other teams. And once he finds a new deal elsewhere, the Ravens can either match that deal or receive 2 first-round picks from the team that signs Lamar. Now, we heard earlier this week several teams that needs a quarterback come out and publicly state that they're not interested in Lamar Jackson. Some really bad teams that really need a franchise quarterback of his ilk. Tasha, let me ask you this. Is this more about Jackson, the player, or the money that he's asking for?
Repeat that again. We got connection issues.
All right, no problem. It's the fact that teams are already saying that they're out on Lamar Jackson. Is that more about him as a player or the money that he's looking for?
I think it's more about the money. I'm going to put it this way. I'm going to say 90% money and 10% the player, because they're looking at him now as, oh, he's injured. He's always injured. But even a injured, banged up Lamar Jackson is better than what Carolina, number one, will probably get in the draft.
Exactly.
Um, what some of these other teams are out there. I mean, who was it? It was like the Falcons, who need a quarterback. They just got rid of exotic smash mouth. You got the Raiders, the Raiders who just shipped Carr off to New Orleans.
Right.
I mean, it's just strange that the teams that took their names out of the running are some of the main ones that need a quarterback. And I've been hearing a lot of the reports going on saying that that's basically, they don't know if the league is colluding, but it sounds like it.
You just brought up the buzzword that I wanted to get to, and that's collusion. Because as I sat and thought about this, Tasha, I'm with you. This 90% money, 10%, because he's a 26-year-old former MVP, like in the prime of his career. Why in the world would you not want him from a talent perspective? And two, if you're Baltimore, why would you let him go out and seek a new deal on his own if you didn't already have an idea of what the other owners would offer him? It,
But see, the thing is, it's all of this, and I've said this on previous shows, it's the Haslam's fault.
right.
They did not have to reach that far to get old Freak Nasty.
Right. And those same teams were after Freak Nasty last year.
Right. And now there are talks of him, possibly trying to restructure, because you've given your quarterback all the money and you don't have any pieces.
Right.
So, there's that. Now, if he restructures his deal, we don't know. But that's what's really throwing everything away. And I'm thinking, I know the Haslams own all those Pilot gas stations, and then they're trying to buy into the Milwaukee Bucks. What the hell they doing for money? They moving bricks. They doing something else than pumping gas.
Right, because nobody gets gas at Pilot.
I mean, you got 200+ million to pay straight out. Because like we said on the show when this first happened, that goes in escrow, which means you have to have that money in order to offer him. Then they're trying to offer pay into the Milwaukee Bucks at over 300. I think it's 347 million.
Tasha, can you repeat that for the people in the back of the church? That is a huge part of this that nobody really talks about the escrow. Can you repeat that real quick?
Any guaranteed money has to be available, and that's put in escrow.
Yes.
So basically, if you don't have that money, then you screw.
Right. So if you're offering a fully guaranteed $230 million contract, you can't have that tied up in other business investments. You need to have that available right there, cash on hand, to be able to pay that player. So I'm like,
right.
What's really going on?
It needs to be right. It needs to be right there if you're going to offer that amount of money. That's basically cash on hand.
Right, cash on hand for a quarterback that had missed the last 18 months while he was dealing with court proceedings and paying women off. Let me digress on that. So, look, this could turn out to be. No, go ahead, Tasha.
I understand an owner and these teams not wanting to pay Lamar that much money, because it wasn't right for Freak Nasty to get that money. Because now, what's going to happen when it's time to re-sign Mahomes? Well, he's won 2 Super Bowls.
Right.
So what is going to be the cap on that? Like our friend Mike said, shouts out to Michigan Mike. It's going to be a lockout.
It will be a lockout. Let somebody give him $250 million fully guaranteed with, like you said, Burrow coming up, with Justin Herbert coming up, with Mahomes still need to be restructured soon, and this guy has way more cachet than right. Mike checks in, he says lockout. Lord, please, sweet baby Jesus, with your tightly balled fist and your curly brown hair, please don't let a lockout happen. But that's where we're headed. And Tasha, I don't want this to happen, but I want to put this out here in the atmosphere so we'll have record of this. Lamar Jackson could be on the potential of being humiliated on the open market if nobody offers more than what the Ravens offered him. What do you do then if you're Lamar Jackson?
But the thing is that, with him being in that, with that franchise tag, that's what, 33 million.
Right, and let's not forget, Daniel Jones is making 40 this year.
But you got that Daniel Jones is making 40. So y'all know off the rip, he ain't gonna take nothing less than 40 a year.
I'm gonna need 50. If Daniel Jones is getting 40, I'm gonna need 50.
I mean, I'm gonna need more than that because I see again, guys. I'm sorry, I don't not on my laptop, so I can't pull my notes up, which are on my phone. They put the stats of Andy Dalton up next to Daniel Jones. Stats are basically similar, but they call Andy Dalton a bust for
Right.
calling Andy Jones a Andy Jones, Daniel Jones a possible top 10 quarterback. How?
No, there's no way. Good morning to you, Christina, checking in from Georgia. Now, the thing is, Tasha, this isn't anything new. You said this months ago during the playoffs. You warned the Giants, hey, don't fall in love with a one playoff performance when a guy's up for a new deal because you might be buying into fool's gold. And Daniel Jones went out there and they beat Minnesota, looked impressive doing so, got the brakes beat off of him by the Eagles, and now he's a $40 million a year quarterback. I think they're going to regret that, just like you warned them.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I know you pay for performance, and he performed well, but that's just a bit much for me for Daniel Jones. Like, I mean, and I was making a joke. I didn't put it in our group chat. I was like, yeah, the Giants are definitely gonna finish in last place in the NFC East this year.
They are. No, they are. Like, if you look at the teams around them, they really, really are. Now, I'm grabbing my crown because this man down right now, pimping distress, Tasha, and I want you to be nice to me right now because you're on a sunny beach and it looks like you're having a marvelous morning. But
wait a minute, I'm trying to listen close because you know I can't really hear.
Right now,
ahead.
I'm gonna say this really slow. Why are the Titans shopping King Henry? Please explain this to me. Don't be laughing. This ain't funny.
No, I'm just gonna say it straight. Y'all know I always bet on black, but it's two black GMs that I'm just not understanding what's going on with them. One is the one in Washington, and the new one in Tennessee. Washington, you got a new offensive coordinator. It's almost like that speech in School Days. Do you want me to lose my job?
Right.
You got Lamar Jackson sitting out there, but y'all talking about y'all don't want it. But y'all broke the bank to get what's his name? Used to be the Eagles quarterback. But I digress. Now,
right, Carson Wentz.
Yeah, Carson Wentz. Y'all gonna keep Tannehill and shop Henry?
Tasha, this is right here on my notes saying we keeping Tannehill and shopping Henry. Now, maybe Henry has more value. No, go ahead.
Now, there is more value for Henry, and I can get that. So maybe they're saying, okay, if we shop Henry, get some things, then we can get rid of Tannehill next year. Like, if y'all just want to blow this thing up, just blow it up now.
Right.
Don't be
That's what I'm getting at.
For next year. Because it's no way in hell that you're saying that Tannehill is more valuable than Henry, which in essence, they always say your quarterback is supposed to be the most valuable person on your team. Not when that person is Tannehill. Not when you had.
And you said in 2019 that he only got his money because of Henry. Don't look like that.
I mean, it's no, like, you know, we said, oh, it was the GM's fault that the Titans weren't, you know, haven't been doing right, or, you know, ain't worth a damn because they not doing this, they not doing that. Well, you got a new GM and they still doing the same shit.
I'm dumbfounded. If you're gonna keep Tannehill, you keep Henry and run it back one more year, and then let them both go next year when their contracts run out. Why are you keeping?
I mean, you had a brain scientist. I mean, a rocket scientist come in and perform or look better than the person that y'all out here clamoring to keep. I mean, he didn't look that bad. I mean, you get it. The boy ain't been on a football field in what, a year and a half almost. And he came in and he actually looked.
No, Tasha, he was signed on a Monday and played on Thursday Night Football.
Right. And he actually, the offense looked productive. They were moving, but you want to keep Tannehill and shop You know what? Next.
Right. They're going to be playing in front of those 2012, 2013 crowds. Remember those crowds with Mettenberger before Mariota got there? They're going to be playing in front of 13, 14 people in them stands. God bless the Tennessee Titans. Now, I want to let the people in.
Remember, talk slow.
Okay. Tasha, our favorite coach, one primetime Deion Sanders. He made headlines. Oh my, here we go. Make sure y'all stick around for this one because after I set this up, I'm going to lay out and let Tasha have her say. Now, to set the stage, Deion Sanders was on the Rich Eisen show, and he was basically talking about what he looked for in a recruit for his different positions, on his football team. He's with the Colorado Buffaloes now. And he said something that sent Tasha into a tizzy. And I'm going to just turn it over to you from there, Tasha. The floor is yours.
Now, as I was listening to 8 Ball and MJG this morning, MJG said, 1, 2, 3 points I got to get across. 1, don't 2 make me 3 go off. Deion had me heated. And I ain't going to lie. I do not like the statement that he made saying he wants his quarterback to come from a 2-parent home. Now, I unleashed on my brother Paul here, but of course, as we do, it's all in jest. The issue I have with that is you have football players, quarterbacks in general, who come from 2-parents home who have shown their natural asses.
Cam Newton.
And you've had quarterbacks from single-parent homes who have come in and have dominated and have done what they're supposed to do. You don't hear anything about Lamar. Right, you don't hear anything about Lamar Jackson falling out the club, beating up nobody, on drugs, getting a DUI or anything. Now, it goes both ways. Of course, I understood what Deion was saying. I really understood because he was saying basically they're more structured possibly, or, they're not wanting to go to the NFL as fast because they don't need the money. But there are 2-parent homes who need that money. If Sasha was a basketball player for the Lady Vols and she had a chance to go pro and they was, really paying money, she came from I'm a single parent, but I was remarried. I'm going to want her to go if she can.
Right.
That doesn't mean that, every 2-parent home still ain't got the money.
Right.
They still need that help. And look at Ja Morant. We love Ja, but I had to get on his ass. 2-parent home. And look how he's acting.
Showing
2-parent home does not
out.
Two-parent homes do not mean that the player is good here. You got the Stanford swimmer who was raping bitches. He was 2-parent home, white, affluent, and what was he doing? He's crazy. You had Ryan Lee. He was literally on that crack or that meth. 2-parent home. You have so many examples of people who come from 2-parent homes who don't make the right decisions either. And what I also said to Paul, it almost plays into the racism card of how they used to label black quarterbacks. Now, he did not say anything about race. I'm not going to put that on Prime. This is me. When they said that, back in the day, black quarterbacks didn't have the brain to be able to lead a team or to understand. So it's like if just because they don't come from a 2-parent home, you don't think that their mentals are right. I just found offense with it.
Right. 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 Like, and the thing is, ladies and gentlemen,
okay, I don't know what part
she tore off into me, ladies and gentlemen, in our weekly.
I just took offense to that. And again, he's a coach. He has the choice to go and recruit whatever player, whatever kind of talent that he wants to recruit. But don't just put that out there like that. And then he was saying, oh, I want my defensive lineman to be on free lunch. Again, Deion, why you seem like you taking these shots? Now,
that was crazy.
To the Pivot podcast. I did listen to the Pivot podcast, and he cleared it up towards the end of the podcast about what he really meant. He was like, well, I came from a single parent. So, Deion, you made it. Look at you. Deion, you ain't crazy. There was a few stories about you, but you wasn't doing no messed up stuff out there.
Right.
So
Right.
him being a single parent, coming from a single parent home, which his father, he said this when he was talking about his games, he said his father came to games, and then his mother ended up remarrying his stepfather, whatever, came to games. But Deion, you're still a product of what you're saying you don't want. And I just took offense to that.
Right. And the more that I stepped away from it, the more I understood your position. Here's my problem with what Deion did. Because as a guy that's not a parent, there's certain sensitivities that I just inherently don't have towards that comment because it didn't hit me the same way because I'm not in that situation. However, what Deion was doing was basically letting barbershop talk out of the barbershop. Just like I'm sure women have beauty shop talk that they just keep in-house because that's not something they go home and tell their husbands. It's like a safe place for women to get women's stuff off their chest. Now it sounds to me
Because like we said, had a white coach said this, they'd have been calling him a racist and saying, what do you mean? He'd have been under fire. So that was and people say, if y'all don't say nothing with black people. Yeah, I call anybody, race, color, or creed to the forefront when I think they doing something that's messed up.
Look no further than John Morant. You came down on him like a rat trap on a rat. Snap.
Exactly. And this ain't get off my lawn. It's just, I'm gonna call it what it is. If it's wrong, it's wrong. I don't care what color it is.
That is very true. Like, do you think that this will have impact on him out on the recruiting trail when you go after these D linemen from single parent homes when you saying you want him on free lunch? Because if I'm a parent there and I'm working 2 jobs to send my to make sure my kid has everything they need and my kid is not on free lunch, I might be like, so what's up with that, Deion? Do you agree?
You remember in Coach Carter when he was telling them, he wants the boys to dress in ties. And they were like, we can't afford no ties. He was like, the Goodwill has a box of ties for 50 cents. And then he was like, so we too good to shop at the Goodwill? Like, so it's like if you come into my home and I'm a single parent and it's like, you gonna come in here? I'm single,
Right.
Remember what you said. My son didn't get free lunch. I'm single, but I worked hard and my son didn't get no free lunch.
But my son is the best player in the state.
Right, my son the best player in the state, and we can hold that candle up to one Miss Tamika Dennis, who raised 4 children, single.
Did you say Mississippi Menace?
Honey, Tamika has a house. Her son is in the NFL. She has another son that's serving his country in the military. Right. She's got her oldest son. He is a flight attendant at Southwest. And then she has little Sydney, who makes straight A's, just like all of her children did. All of her children are smart because she's smart.
That's a great example.
So just say, you didn't want Keyshawn when he got recruited at Illinois. You didn't want Keyshawn to go to Illinois, Lovie Smith, because he's a product of a single parent. And then when he transferred to Vanderbilt because he was that smart, Vanderbilt didn't want him because he was that smart.
Yes.
But y'all didn't want him because he came from a single parent. Like that's the attitude that I would take with it. And then you think about, how when they do their introduction sometimes on Monday Night Football, how they don't shout out their university. You remember Randy Moss used to say Rand University.
Right.
They call out their elementary schools sometimes. And he was the one that started that because he said that's what made him. Yeah, he went to Marshall and he did great things in Marshall, but Rand University is what made him. And I remember Lavernius Coles when he went, I forgot when he shouted out, but he never shouted out Florida State. Of course, Florida State kicked him out for getting the hookup, but he never shouted out Florida State.
Right.
So that I think that kind of stuff sticks with people. Like how they say, I keep a mental note. How the people when they get drafted, they say, I remember all 1 through 7 who was drafted before me, and now look where they are and look where I am. I think that will sit in the back of the brains of some. Now others will be like, no, I'm going to play for Prime because Prime, and you don't blame them. You can't fault them.
Right. Here's my last word on Prime is that Prime, yes, I can see how you offended a vast majority of your recruiting base based on the type of athletes that you want to recruit at Colorado. But my main point is, Prime, you're really lying. You're lying. If a Lamar Jackson 5-star recruit type comes to your program through the transfer portal, you wouldn't care if he was an orphan. You wouldn't care if he was raised by wolves, if he was Joe Burrow. You wouldn't care.
Right.
As long as he can help you win and keep your damn job, you're going to put him out there on the field.
You wouldn't care. And he know damn well he would take Mike Vick 2.0.
Look, you could be raised by aliens. I don't care. Tell them to mink, right on down here and do what we got to do. We want to send a couple of shouts out. We want to send a shout out to Miss Sheila Hastings checking in. Miss Melanie Taylor gave us a great example of a single parent home. LeBron, the king. Michael Harris says, you are on point, Tasha. I agree with you. Your daughter is checking in. She says, sidebar, have y'all been watching the men's SEC basketball tournament? There's been a lot of upsets, and Vandy is coming to take it all. I did not see the Vandy game last night. I will be watching today. Go Vandy. And let's give a shout out to that coach.
To Coach Stackhouse.
Stackhouse getting it done.
Coach over there at Vandy.
So, the people are understandably in your corner with the Prime comments. And like Prime, this ain't the swag, bruh. Like, we give grace over certain type of things that you say because, we keep it cultural in-house. But like Tasha said in the chat, you're on a different platform now. You got to watch your mouth. like keep the barbershop talk in the barbershop. Let's not be offending the future recruits when you hadn't even played a game yet. We don't even know what your team is going to look like this year. Bless it.
Right. Basically, you don't say that in front of mixed company, boy.
Right. And Mike talking about some what tournament I ain't watching. Mike, Michigan had one bad season. Let's not do this today. And we got a question for you too, Mike, speaking of the tournament. So make sure you stick around a little bit for that. But you see me in my Memphis Grizzly t-shirt, and we want to zoom in there. It's their playoff t-shirt from last year. Because I want to still show support for my Grizzlies. I'm a Grizzlies fan first. Before there was a job, I was cheering for Zebo and all of them. Those who know me know that. But this is about Ja Morant right now, and we want to update the situation and see where we go forward from here. Now, since the last time we broke, really the IG thing broke just hours before we came on last week. So make sure you check last week's episode for our initial comments on Ja and the live and the gun and all of that. Well, since then, the Colorado Police Department has dropped their investigation into Ja. The Memphis Grizzlies have suspended Ja for 3 games and then added 4 more games onto that after Colorado closed their investigation. So, Tasha, is 7 games enough for Ja to sit out before he comes back, or do you think he deserves more time out?
I mean, I think it's enough because they are investigating. Like, nothing has been proven. At this point, it's just, his word against his word, their words against their words. Nothing has been proven. Now, again, with him brandishing or showing the gun on Instagram, you say, okay, hey, let me sit you down for a minute there till we find out what's really going on. But there's really nothing else. But my friend Steve, shout out to Steve out there in Arizona, hashtag no spring forward, no daylight saving.
Right, this daylight. Yeah, we're going to lose that hour of sleep tonight.
He sent me an article where allegedly Ja's sister had got into it with somebody on her volleyball team at the school they go to.
Yes.
And allegedly, again, him and his crew, Ray and them, rolled up, and one of the members of the crew is cussing out the student and saying, I beat y'all's asses. Like,
TMZ dropped that Thursday night at like midnight.
Right. Now, it's too many stories like that are coming out. Again, nothing has been proven. So until you actually have some solid evidence saying that he's doing it, even though in the back of our mind, shouts out to Robert Blake. Yeah, he killed Bonnie Blakely, which was his wife, and he got away with it. But they didn't have no evidence to prove that man did it. So, but we all know, as Dave Chappelle said, Beretta did that shit.
Right, like Steve Harvey said, they found a Heisman in the bushes and still couldn't convict OJ.
Right, but we have no proof, no evidence. There's nothing to say that Ja is actually guilty of any of these things that are being said about.
He's guilty of being an idiot.
Say it again.
He's guilty of being an idiot.
Say it again, slow.
He's guilty of being an idiot.
Oh, yes, most definitely. Most definitely. Like, I mean, I don't know what it's going to take. And like I said, this is the future possible face of the NBA.
Right.
You gonna throw this away because you want to be hard? I mean, and people coming down on the city of Memphis. No, I mean, you can't say Memphis is bad or this is making Memphis look bad or Memphis is making Ja bad. No, because you can go to a city and pick and choose who you want to hang with.
Right.
But again, we know Zebo and Tony Allen was the original whoop that trick all-stars, and they would whoop that trick.
Right.
But that you didn't hear them messing around or doing anything with people in Memphis. They had altercations before, but when they got to Memphis, you didn't hear that. So if they can keep themselves under control, and they was really about that life,
right. Y'all better Google Zebo. Y'all better Google Zach Randolph in Gary, Indiana, and where he's from, and Tony Allen, and how he came up.
The fact that you said Gary, Indiana should be enough.
Right. And they were professionals when they took the court. When they got that money, they put all that aside and just kept it on the court. Tasha, I'm kind of torn with this because I'm thinking 4 more games push you back maybe next Thursday or Friday. Is that enough time? It seems like this story is so white hot. Like you said, another article just came out on Thursday about another incident. And on the sidebar, Mama, why you keep dragging your son into all this mess? There was the mama that went up there and said, who called my daughter a bitch? Like, there was the mama who called him at the Foot Locker at the mall. Mama?
I mean, again, it's like Sasha's friends, it's funny. I can tell these stories now and I don't care. But Sasha was in college. Sasha had 2 incidences with 2 of her roommates that as adults, they were adults. I felt like I could drag them. And one of them, shouts out to my niece's mother, April, when one of the first incident happened, April and her sister, when I said, well, yeah, we're going to go down to Mississippi because we're going to have to beat some bitches' asses, basically. And April with a face straight as all day, well, when you going? She said, me and my sister going with you. Like, we were getting ready to handle that. Like, literally. And then she had another crazy roommate. Like, I had to come down there. But the last one, the girl called the police on me. She called the sheriff, the Tibaha Sheriff's Department. And I remember the officer said, well, she's a child. I said, no, she's not. I said, she's over the age of 18. I said, she is an adult. I said, so therefore I have every right to say what I need and want to say to her. You put yourself in that place where you feel like you can argue or be petty with someone's mother. So I'm going to come to your level. That's just me. So
okay, Mama Morant.
So I understand T's mama probably saying, well, I'm going to call my son. But also you need to know how to handle that stuff yourself. Again,
and don't roll up 9 deep.
Right. It should have never gotten to the point where, when I'm gonna call my son, like, who is your son? Like what is Ja? Like,
my sister could beat Ja's ass in a 1-on-1 fist fight.
Right, and it's like it should never come to the point that if your mama, we don't know what happened. Her first instinct shouldn't be, well, I'm gonna call my son.
Right.
Like that should never be your first reaction. Right,
with the intention of handling something. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I get how families stick together and how, they wanted to intimidate by rolling up deep, and somebody called your little sister out of her name. I have a baby sister, and I'm very protective of her, but I'm not going to call up Mike, Carlos, Tasha, the Smiths, the Quarters. We're not going to roll up 15 deep at a high school to come talk to
we're not going to roll up to St. Cecilia.
Right. That's a perfect example.
We're not rolling up.
Hey, Tasha, Mike says, man, I'm there. I know. That's why I ain't calling you. You're a daddy now. We can't have you in jail. I know Mike will be there because eventually I'm going to tell him about the time we were at Sambuca and Mike was ready to beat up the whole club. And me and his friend were horrified. Like, Wow, I guess we're going to be fighting in dress shoes. Okay. All right. So, yeah, we know that we have people about that life. So, so Tasha, you're on record of saying, morning, Mr. Shelton. What's going on,
Say it,
cousin? Shouts out to Detroit. So,
say it
Tasha,
slower.
you're okay with the 7-game suspension, is what you're saying?
Okay, with the what?
With 7 games.
Yeah, I mean, again, what has been proven? No, no,
Right.
no, nobody's got the bloody glove
Right. Where's the
or
suit, Ray?
anything. Right? Ain't nobody found the candlestick in
Right.
the library with Colonel Mustard?
Right. Okay. Well, I hope that's the case, but Tasha, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think this latest one that just dropped is going to cost him another 4 or 5 games. We may not see him till April. To be real talk, I think the NBA would want him in the playoffs, but they're about to make an example out of him, and he's giving the NBA all the ammunition they need to put him in front of the firing squad. So, like, I can't even say nothing no more. If they sit him out another 10 games, sit down, or as Tasha would say, boy, go sit your ass down and hold these 10 games, and we'll see you, and hopefully you humble when you come back.
Right.
All right. So, Tasha, tomorrow is not just daylight savings time, hashtag lose an hour of sleep. Tomorrow is supposed to be one of the biggest days of sports, which is Selection Sunday for the annual March Madness college basketball tournament. But Tasha, as I look here on the eve of the tournament selection show, I couldn't name you 5 college basketball players. Can you? Don't look at me like that.
I mean, it used to be like I can name off. Like, remember, we could name off all the players from the Big East, not just one school.
Right,
We used to know
right.
all the players from we knew the Billy Owens that was at Syracuse, the Derrick Colemans that was at Syracuse.
Yes.
Like we knew Mark Jackson and Chris Mullins at St. John's. Like we could name, and those wasn't even necessarily our team, even though Syracuse back in the day, Syracuse was at 1. But
Right, right.
we could
Shouts out to
name off.
Bayham.
Right. You could go to any college and any conference and you could just name off players.
Right.
I can't tell you who played for who now.
Look, we are Michigan fans, and we probably couldn't name you 5 Michigan players right off the top of our head right now. Let alone somebody who plays in the Pac-12.
I just know Juwan Howard is the coach, and I think his son still play there. Does he?
Right. What's his son's name, Tasha?
I don't know.
Right. It's Jet and Jace. And the only reason why I know that is because they play for Michigan. I couldn't tell you who any of their opponents are. Do you think that this is going to be that March Madness has lost its luster? Are people going to be watching? Because Mike said he ain't watching.
I mean, I'm not going to watch the way that I used to watch. Of course, I'm gonna fill out a bracket just because I think it's fun. But I mean, I'm just going to be doing eeny, meeny, miny, mo, because I don't know anybody's record. I don't know anything that's going on with college basketball, and like you always say with Tasha, you don't watch the NBA, do you? I don't know nobody in the NBA, because that's how the NBA grew in those days, because we watched those players in college. They became our favorite players, even coming straight out of high school. And even the one and dones, they made a name for themselves, the one who deserved to be one and done. That just goes to show you everybody needs to be one and done. Some of y'all may need to be 3 and done.
Right. And why is it such a bad thing now to stay in college for 4 years to play basketball? That wasn't a bad thing in the 90s and 80s.
I mean, it can't just be about the money. It may be, I do think a lot of them are barely getting in. I don't know if they still have clearinghouse for you to get into to college if you're an athlete. Like, look at Ben Simmons. He went to, basically, if you one and done, you only need to go to class for a semester.
Right. That's true.
Semester,
right. Because you're not worried about.
Just breeze through.
Right.
Because by the time midterms come around in March, if you ineligible. Whether the big dance is over in April.
Right.
By the time
the draft is in summer, so you're not going back to school.
You're not right. You're not going back to school. But Ben Simmons was a decent player on a crappy team. It's just the fact that he came from Australia. We wanted to see what he was about, and
Right,
he played good at LSU. But
right,
if you're the only star on a bad team, of course you're going to stand out. You look at KD. KD was down there balling. KD was the Big 12 Player of the Year, wasn't it? I know he was definitely the Freshman of the Year. KD went out, and we knew who KD was.
right, right, right.
Like, but some of these other one and done people, like, everybody's talking about, Bronny, if he comes out next year, he's going to be a first rounder. The only reason we know Bronny is because of his father. If
That's
LeBron
true.
James
That's
wasn't his
true.
father, we would if he came out one and done, we wouldn't know who he was. And then they saying that Bryce may be even better.
Bryce is better.
So
He's
I mean,
taller.
who
He has more of
knows?
an NBA body.
He's taller.
Yeah.
Right. He has the NBA body that's, I don't know when college became such a, I don't want to do this. Like, and that shows too with how a lot of them act when they get in the league, because they didn't matriculate. They didn't go to college. They didn't get to have fun, because all they were doing was going and auditioning for the NBA. They were just going to play ball. They never got to have fun. They
Right.
never got a chance to really do anything.
And your daughter agrees. She says Bryce is better. And we know she keeps up with her college hoops.
Well, she's like me. We love Miss Savannah. So whatever Savannah say, we going with.
Hey, when you talk about a queen, Savannah Fitz, she checks all the boxes. Shouts out to
Yes.
Savannah James. She's my Michelle Obama 2.0. I love me. So no, I do. I love her to death. All right. So yeah, me and Tasha gonna fill out some brackets. Next week we'll dabble around with our Final Four picks and see how, because last year me and Tasha, I think our brackets were busted on the first day.
What, say it again? I missed it.
I think our brackets were busted on the first day last week. We'll check in with y'all next week to see how our brackets are looking. Because the tournament gets underway Thursday.
Remember last year our brackets were like through, because I think it was my whole South region. I just ripped it off and just.
Right, and I don't know why Mike didn't want to do a bracket. He normally does pretty good with that, but I'll just be guessing. So, all right, Natasha, it is time for our weekly Shut the Hell Up segment. I'm gonna go first because this really pissed me off to the highest of festivity, and I'm sick of it, and something must be said. Skip Bayless, you old dried up raisin, you. I'm gonna need you to shut the hell up, old man. Now, for those who don't watch Undisputed, let me tell you what he did this week. Now, everybody's chiming in on Ja Morant for good reason. Everybody's getting their pound of flesh. Ja deserved it. Ja put himself in the position to get raked over the coals. But Skip took it one step too far this week on Undisputed. He went on national TV and said that Ja Morant is trying to be a Crip gang member. Now, first of all, the show is filmed in L.A. and he lives in L.A. So Skip is very aware of gang culture and what he's really saying. But Skip, that was reckless, that was irresponsible, and that was dangerous. To associate this man with the Crips with no evidence, just to try to get some clicks and some likes and some retweets, that is dangerous. We all know in our community about gang culture and how Bloods have enemies who would love to get stripes by taking out a rival gang member. You putting Ja's daughter in peril. You putting Ja's family in danger. Ja Morant is no damn gang member. There was no person of color or other that covers sports that corroborated that story. That was reckless and irresponsible. You brought up last week, Tasha, young Dolph got killed because of some stupid stuff in front of a donut shop in broad daylight. Like, yeah, Ja messed up. Ja did some dumb stuff. But let's not put that in the atmosphere, because we know the Bloods and the Crips do reside in Memphis just like they do in L.A. So Skip Bayless, we got this, all right? You sit this one out. The culture stepped up and took Ja in our arms. We gave him a little spank on the backside. We're telling him to go sit in timeout for a few games. Then we're going to love on him and bring him back on the court, and hopefully he finishes his career above board. But you stay out of this. You stay out of this, Skip. We got this. Shut the hell up, man.
In Skip's defense, Ja was throwing up Crip signs in numerous photos. And you remember back in the day when Lil Wayne and Chris Brown used to rap and say something about blood and Pyru? Well, they bloods.
Now Wayne says
So,
he
I
just said the
mean,
wrong gang, but he's right though. He's throwing up gang signs. But to associate him with a gang makes it a personal thing, and and that's dangerous. You could say, is he trying to be a gang member and leave it there? But to associate it specifically with a gang that has rivals and stuff that could be deadly, I think that's reckless and
but
irresponsible.
but I think had Skip said gang, then they would have been like, oh, they trying to say either way it goes. Skip being white, who was raised by a black woman, which a lot of people don't know that. Uh, Skip saying that either way he was damned if he was and damned if he didn't. He could have kind of left that out. So
Right.
I
Now,
get your point in saying that.
right. That doesn't add to. I mean, the guy is already down. We already know he's wrong. Everybody knows he's wrong. I think that on a national platform, that is very, very irresponsible. And Shannon, you need to get the Speak the Hell Up award because you should have checked that right there and say, hey, let's. We don't have to broach that. You know what I'm saying? And like Wayne says, that most of these athletes are gang members. Just facts. Well, where are their names at? You don't hear those names
Say it
because
again.
that's just a no-no, I think, in the sports media. Now, Mr. Glenn says Fox Sports let Skip get away with saying anything with no backlash. That is correct. Um, and it's getting old, so I'm about out on Undisputed. Now, whether he's a gang member or not, you know, I guess time will tell. But if you don't have any concrete evidence of that, and he's just throwing up signs, then no, let's not do that. Skip, shut the hell up. Let us handle this. Tasha, the floor is yours.
Well, this actually came across my lap as I pulled up. Y'all see my little chair. I keep this in my trunk because I never know if I'm gonna pull up to the beach and just want to sit down. I keep a bag with a swimsuit. Somebody said, "Oh, you got an island whole bag," because I keep a bathing suit. I keep a towel. I keep flip flops. I keep a change of clothes because living on an island, you never know if somebody gonna say, "Hey, let's go to the beach," and you got to be prepared. So as I'm sitting here praying that this Wi-Fi was going to hold up to do
And
this
it
show,
has.
I pulled I pulled up a story. Now was just reading the cusp of it when uh, Paul sent the link, and I hate to do this. Shut the hell up, Colin Kaepernick. Shut the hell up.
Oh, good one. Good one. Let me grab my popcorn. Oh, that's a good
Well,
one. Please explain.
what he's saying now is the adoptive parents who are whites who took your ass in as a baby. He said that they had a culture of racism in their home. Now, he did say he knows that they loved him. But if you saw the Colin in black and white on Netflix, it didn't portray them bad, it just portrayed them ignorant. And not ignorant as, oh, they just stupid. Ignorance because they didn't know. Just like a lot of things, black people, we don't know about white people. If you don't
Right.
know, you ask. A lot of you know, I have four, five, well, I have five really good friends of mine who happen to be white. If
Right.
I don't
Shouts
know
out to Drew
something that
Merriman,
goes
my white
on,
brother from another mother.
oh, and the things that like if I didn't understand something, I would ask them,
Mm-hmm.
and they felt comfortable enough with me, even though sometimes I was like, "Why would they ask me that?" But they don't know.
Right.
I was ignorant to their culture because I wasn't raised like them. They were ignorant. So by him saying, "Oh, when I had cornrows, my mother was saying, oh, I look like a gang member or I look like a thug." I mean, her growing up in Wisconsin, especially if you're from, shouts out to Milwaukee. Everybody knows Milwaukee is the hood. It's one of the most racist cities, and if not the most racist in the United States. That she's going off of what they're not from Milwaukee, but it's Wisconsin. Again, here I am stereotyping Wisconsin. You know what's up there, white people. They didn't know. So a lot of stuff that they were saying to him, yeah, it may have been like off color, but I don't necessarily think it was racism. It's just they didn't know.
Right.
And then, so again, I didn't really get to read the story and go into it more, but he did say, yes, I do know that they loved me. But I mean, Colin, you gotta shut the hell up on that one, dude. Them people didn't. I mean, they know to a certain extent. But her being your white mother and you are her black son with a very different texture of hair, she doesn't know. She
Right.
doesn't know how to say things. And I think even in Calling Black and White, they kind of straightened up a little bit towards the end because they were a little more educated.
Right.
But for you to say that to those people when they stood by you, when all this stuff was first going on, but I did notice a lot here lately that he had not really been putting stuff, with his parents, but he did do, it was a movie that came out and he was there with his partner and his parents on the red carpet with him. Colin, don't do that.
Right.
Don't do that.
Right.
Dude, just right now, just shut the hell up.
Right, because the thing is, we get it, Colin. We get it. Now, if all you're gonna be is the racist martyr, then we ain't got time for that. Like, Colin, we get it. What you trying to sell a new book? You trying to have a new Netflix docuseries? They raised you, they fed you, they kept a roof over your head. They got you in a position to where you can go to the college and then the NFL, and now you want to throw dirt on them 20 years later. Man, shut the hell up. Hold on, wait a minute. Mike checking in with a shut the hell up. He says, also, shut the hell up to the NCAA, shaking my head, worrying about our burgers, but not people dying. I digress. Wow, Mike coming in high. Woo.
What are you talking about?
Basically, he's alluding to the NCAA being more concerned about Jim Harbaugh buying a burger for a recruit that's going to have them in hot water now than Alabama players shooting up the strip down there in Tuscaloosa. Good job by you, Michael. So shut the hell up, NCAA. He had to get that off his chest. Shut the hell up, Colin Kaepernick and Skip Bayless. Sit your old ass down and shut the hell up. T Sizzle, who you shouting out this week?
I'm shouting out one again. My baby daddy got my shout out last week. He's gonna get it again. He lost his best friend, literally his best friend since birth. His name is Corey. They found him in his house dead. They don't know what happened. I don't know. So I'm not going to put anything out there because I really don't know. But from what my daughter was saying, which I don't know, things could have changed by now. Apparently, it was a gunshot. So they don't know the circumstances, but they just found him in the house. They don't know if it was self-inflicted or if it was someone. Yeah, there have been no reports about that. So shout out to my baby daddy and to the Sweat family. His name is Corey Sweat. He was our age. Shout out to his family and just keep them lifted up in prayer. And then shout out to this. Look, the children down there getting surfing lessons. Look at them. They get surfing lessons.
That is lovely.
It's a big wave today. I had to get up off my bar car lounger to show y'all these beautiful sights.
That is. Now, why are you making me jealous? Don't end the show like this. Now, Mr. Glenn comes in with some heat. He says it seems like the half black folks try to prove their blackness more by screaming racism often. That's what Colin Kaepernick sounds like to me. Like we get it.
Not black folks. Not black folks. But no, I'm glad he said that because that goes out to. I mean, I know a lot of people are going off on Chris Rock about what he said about Meghan Markle and this and other thing. And I said, and I tweeted, I said, y'all acting like y'all even knew that girl was black or even knew who she was. First of all, y'all act like y'all knew who she was before she started dating Prince Harry. Then when y'all did, if y'all did watch Suits, y'all didn't know that girl was black.
Right. Because when she was on Suits, I didn't know.
Because she used, again, sometimes what they say pass back in the day, sometimes when you can pass, you use that to your advantage. But then, of course, she gets thrown in the spotlight and everyone sees on a nationwide scale that Miss Dorinda is a sister, a dark brown sister. You can't cover that up. So now it's like, just like when Tiger Woods, when he get in trouble, when OJ got in trouble, even though OJ's not mixed, they always want to come back to us and claim us when they need help.
Right, like Colin, don't be trying to trigger us because you feel like, and to Mr. Glenn's point, it's almost like you're trying to use the black community when you throw out racism because that's our dog whistle for us to jump up and be all in arms with you. We're not jumping at your beck and call no more, Colin. Like you settled with the league, you sold out then. Just shut the hell up. You ain't, don't be dragging us into racism every single time something happens. Stop it, Tasha. We don't want to see your seashells by the seashore.
This is an almond, by the way.
Oh, okay, all right. Almond and diamond. Well, I want to send a shout out
to the inside. Okay.
All right, do your thing. I want to send a shout out to Mr. Glenn, Mr. Hassel, Mr. Donaldson. I want to send a shout out to our sponsor, Miss May Jane Coffee, Miss Denise. To the Vanderbilt Commodores, go get it done today and make that NCAA tournament. I want to send a shout out to Miss Melanie Taylor. Thank you for always supporting Miss Sheila Hastings. Shouts out to you. We love you, Mama Hastings. And to everybody who checks out the show every week, we appreciate you. Look, we all know Tasha's about to go have a lovely day on the beach. I am going to try to catch up on some of this basketball and get ready for this tournament. We'll see y'all in 6 days and 23 hours. Until then, peace.